The following program is brought to you by the Midas Gold Group.
This is the Gold Standard, brought to you by Midas Gold Group with Kenneth Russo. Hello, I'm Dave Deno. Welcome to the Gold Standard, your source for secure investment advice and information on the advantages of purchasing and owning precious metals. Whether you're a novice investor or an experienced collector, this is the program that gives you a realistic weekly perspective on the state of the economy, reliable information about using precious metals such as gold, silver, and platinum to safeguard your wealth, and remarkable details about specific precious metal coins and bullion. We're going to share some of that with you today. Ken Russo is a senior vice president at Midas Gold Group. His peers characterize him as a straight shooter who will work harder for you than anyone else. Today, our topic is inflation. That's a good topic for us to begin with today because we are now beginning to see signs of inflation in our economy. Where do we begin? What's happening with the economy and inflation out there right now?
Well, Dave, first of all, it's nice to be with you today, and it's a pleasure and a privilege to talk to your audience and our audience. People are starting to become very aware of what's going on. Inflation is evident as everything is costing more, from at the grocery store to the gas station, our electric bills, all this money that's being printed, all the debt that's being talked about. People are finally starting to realize what that means and what it could mean going forward. And right now it's meaning higher prices. We are seeing higher prices everywhere. I mean, for many parts of the country, gas prices are the highest that we have ever seen. I saw in California that gas is over $5 a gallon. I have never seen that in my lifetime. And the same is true no matter what state you go to. And we're seeing we're seeing the prices on groceries go up. And we're hearing actual economists saying, yeah, we are now at the threshold of inflation. The main problem is our dollar, Dave, is falling. The more they print, the less our dollar buys and the less our dollar is worth. One guarantee in life is that our dollar will always buy less in the future. So how do we protect ourselves from that? All this money printing is causing a debasement in our U.S. dollar, which basically buys less. In essence, things cost more. For me, I'm the novice on economic issues. When you say they're printing money, what do you mean by they're printing money? Well, the dollar is a paper currency. If you look at it, it says Federal Reserve note. At one time before 1933, money was backed by gold. The government needed to print more money to stimulate the economy. The dollar today, since 1971, is not backed by gold anymore or silver. It's backed by nothing except debt. Wow. Debt that is not fixable. Debt that is now out of control. So our fiat currency, which is a paper currency system, is just being debased, devalued. The dollar buys less every year. The dollar has lost about 80% of its value in the last 20 years against gold. It's lost about 97% of its value against gold since the early 70s, and it's a problem. And right now it's accelerating. If anybody knows the value of a dollar and the value of gold, it is our guest today here on the Gold Standard, Ken Russo from the Midas Gold Group. We see stimulus checks that have been printed. We see different social programs that are being expanded now with the new administration. Let's go back to the checks. Trillions of dollars in checks, stimulus checks, 3 of them so far, and who knows how many more. Where was that money hiding? Where did that money come from? Well, that's a good question. And many clients, Dave, in this day and age are starting to ask that same question. How does this all make sense? Where does this come from? The money comes from the stroke of a computer key, just out of thin air. Wow. And right now it's going at an accelerated historical rate. We printed 20% of the money supply last year.
Wow.
So the more money supply that's out there, obviously whatever it is, commodity, whatever, the more there is of it, the less it's worth.
We can only stimulate the economy so much and for so long before, as we have seen from history, it crashes. Why then we'll major on gold for a second. Why then is gold so much different than our paper money?
Well, gold has a long track record of always holding its value. Mm-hmm. It has a long track record of keeping its purchasing power. One of the problems that we're faced with as Americans is loss of purchasing power, as well as many other things like loss of financial freedom, loss of financial privacy, and many different things. Mm-hmm. But if we keep it just to gold, it is an asset that is a store of value. It is a unit of account. It's a medium of exchange.
It's a secure investment.
It is. Gold has been shown and has a long track record of doubling in price every 7 years since the 1970s. At the same time, the U.S. has doubled its debt every 8 years since the 1970s. It has a long track record of holding its value.
And we're going to talk in just a moment about the value of gold. We have one of our featured precious metal products. We have one each week. This is the Gold Standard, and it's brought to you by the Midas Gold Group.
I'm here with Midas Gold Group senior trader and Marine Corps veteran James Clark. James, why are people investing in gold and silver?
Well, Dr. Gorka, the Federal Reserve supplies money to pay for congressional spending. As Congress expands spending, the Fed has no choice but to keep printing money at an accelerated rate. This causes the dollar to fall and gold to increase.
So as the Fed and Congress devalue the dollar, what can people do?
As the nation's #1 veteran-owned precious metals dealer, we offer diversification strategies in the form of precious metals. As Congress looks to the Fed for more money, investors look to gold and silver to protect their nest egg.
And I recommend that you look to Midas Gold Group for all your precious metal needs. Call Midas Gold Group for their guide to owning bullion and coins today. 855-322-GOLD. That's 855-322-4653 or MidasGoldGroup.com.
And we're back with more of the Gold Standard with Ken Russo from Midas Gold, the Midas Gold Group. Today, our topic is inflation. And our featured precious metal product is the Gold American Eagle. It is considered to be the preferred government-issued bullion gold coin of American investors, an absolutely stunning gold coin. And I want you to hear this. That's it. That's not just some little nickel. I've got one in front of me. This is a stunningly beautiful coin. I love this. And you better keep your eye on it. It's the Gold American Eagle. Ken, tell us why this Gold American Eagle is such a sought-after investment and a collector's item.
It's a quality piece, Dave, and the U.S. Mint is a very prestigious mint with a long track record of making high-quality products. It's a 1-ounce gold coin, 22 carats. They make a few million of them each year, but right now the United States Mint is running far behind. The demand for the 1-ounce Gold American Eagle is extremely strong, and the supply through rationing to gold dealers is very tight. But we love the product. It's a mainstay foundational gold product. We expect it to hold its value and increase in value over the next 5 years pretty substantially.
And this one coin, which, by the way, has a lot of heft to it. He said a 1-ounce coin. Don't let 1 ounce kind of fool you. 1 ounce, when you put it into a coin, has got some real heft to it. This coin, its value right now is over $2,000 for just the one coin.
That coin today, if you purchased it, is around $2,100. And you may think to yourself, why would you do that? Well, let's consider if you kept your $2,100 in cash. Mm-hmm. That $2,100 in the future is guaranteed to buy less, and it's guaranteed to lose value. It's a guaranteed loser. On the other hand, if we take a historical track record of gold and the Gold American Eagle, this $2,100 coin will probably be worth more than $3,000 in the next 3 to 5 years. So to hold a part of your money and to control a part of your money in a day and age of printed money is very important.
Okay, so I can see the picture here. I'm going to take $2,000, let's say, and I'm going to sock that away in bills in a safe deposit box, let's say. And I'm going to put this coin right next to it in that same safe deposit box. And 5 years from now, I'm going to come back and I'm going to take those both out. Both, let's say, $2,000 in value when they went in. Now, what's my value between the two? What's my buying value between the two?
That's exactly right. The cash will probably be 25 or 50% less than what you started with. And the gold could be 50 to 75 to 100% more. That's exactly the protection that investors should be looking at today. And let's say that you had $200,000 to protect in cash, or $200,000. Maybe you just sold a home, or maybe you have some stock. You're worried about the stock market. Maybe you might want to own 100 1-ounce gold American Eagles to pass on. It's your safety net. It's your future generation's money. It's your savings. It's your nest egg. So we believe that gold over the next few years should be an integral, necessary part that every single investor should be learning about and considering, and that's where we come in.
So let's say I wanted to invest in this coin. I wanted to buy it from you, or I wanted to buy multiples of it. What are the different ways I could buy this?
Well, if you have liquid, cash at a bank, you could send us a check or send us a bank wire. We could lock in the price for a client and lock in the quantity, and then they pay us back through a check or a bank wire. We have other clients that might have an old 401k, an old retirement account of some sort, a TSP, maybe an existing IRA, and maybe they would like to take a portion, or all of that account and convert it to a tangible product like gold and silver instead of being invested in paper such as stocks or mutual funds.
So as I look at this coin and I think about its value, let's say over the next 5 years, as I said, compared to what the value is going to be of that same amount in cash that I have socked away, this is going to appreciate, and chances are the cash is going to depreciate. I'm going to have less buying power there. I'm going to have more value over here with the coin. And I can store these safely in a variety of ways. But my question is this: what if I didn't want to actually own the physical gold? Is there some other way for me to be able to get my money into gold?
You could own paper gold. You could own, a company that mines gold. But for us to truly have diversification and a store of value that we could hold and control ourselves and protect ourselves, we believe if you don't hold it, you don't own it. We believe the true way to own gold for those different reasons is in bar and coin form, and to hold it yourself in a IRA depository, hold it in a home safe, hold it at a credit union lockbox or a bank lockbox. We believe the only way to get wealth preservation through the ownership of gold is in physical bar and coin form.
And coin and bar. So I've got a choice there. If it were you, which one would you choose?
Well, we like a variety of different products for different reasons. And don't forget, every client's a little bit different. You can buy a gram of gold for $85. There's an opportunity for big and small investors to diversify. So depending on the age of the client, depending on the time frame that they're looking to own their gold, depending on how much they're moving into gold, depending on if they're a long-term investor or more of a short-term person, those will all be reasons that we come up with different ideas on different types of products. But for the ideal client, it may be a mixture of bars and coins.
And when I buy this physical gold, how can I make sure it's going to get to me?
Well, that's what we do for a living. I mean, we have built our name on being a reliable, trusted source. We're a veteran-owned, reliable, trusted source that you can talk to, have a relationship with. We get our bars directly from mints in Switzerland. directly from mints in Australia. We get our coins directly from the mints of the United States, Royal Mint of Canada, the Mint of England, Perth Mint. That's what keeps the process and holds the integrity of the, where the metals come from. But, our job as a dealer is to be there for our clients to buy or sell. Our job as a dealer is to be trustworthy. Our job as a dealer is to be a provider of liquidity to the gold and the other precious metal markets. That's what we do. That's our job, and we're very good at it, and we feel privileged to take care of our clients.
And that is Ken Russo from the Midas Gold Group. Coming up in just a moment, we're going to talk specifically more about how to invest in gold, silver, and other precious metals. This is the Gold Standard, brought to you by the Midas Gold Group.
Sebastian Gorka here. The Biden-Harris administration is governing through an unprecedented number of executive orders. We have a good idea of what their agenda means for the country and for your finances. More debt, more regulations, slower growth, and higher taxes. There's even talk of a digital wallet currency and a so-called Great Reset. With massive new spending programs, the Fed is printing money even faster than before. This will likely cause the dollar to fall and gold prices to rise. That's why it's never been more important to own physical gold and silver, and the dealer I trust to do business with is veteran-owned Midas Gold Group. The experts at Midas Gold can even help you convert a portion of your IRA into physical gold and silver to stabilize your portfolio against the coming storm. Call Midas Gold Group for their guide to owning bullion and coins today. 855-322-GOLD. That's 855-322-4653 or MidasGoldGroup.com.
You're listening to The Gold Standard with Ken Russo. So far today, we've talked about inflation and preserving your wealth, and we've taken a look at the gold American Eagle coin. What a beautiful coin this is. Now, let's dig into some different reasons for you and ways of using gold, silver, and other precious metals to safeguard and to grow your wealth. Paper money. I can take it out of my wallet. I can walk down to the grocery store. I can buy the food I want. I am not going to take this gold coin to the grocery store. So how do I convert this into spending power?
Well, the first thing that's important is you want to hold your power. You're not going to take a stock down to the grocery store either, or a mutual fund, or a rental home. But we believe it's important to hold your buying power over the next few years, and what instruments will do that. I don't think that anyone over the next 5 or 10 years is smart enough to know what money's going to look like. But we have to have options. And we believe that one of the best options right now, and for the last 3,000 years, to hold your buying power, to possibly see a big increase in value, to be a beneficiary of all this printed money and possible inflation, overvaluation in the stock market, overvaluation in the real estate market, is physical gold. It will give you the option over the next 5 or 10 years to have a choice to make. And in this particular market and this particular risk with all this money printing, it's important to have options.
Let's go back and talk about that again. If somebody tuned in late to the program, our topic on the table today is inflation, which we are already seeing occur around us in this economy. We're just getting the beginning of inflation, and economists are indicating, hey, watch out. It is going to continue, and it's going to get worse. That's what we're hearing out there. The way to go against inflation, historically, from what I've heard you say, is to invest in precious metals.
Definitely one way to protect yourself. And think about it. I mean, the $28 trillion debt right now that the government has will probably and could be $40 trillion over the next 3 years.
Wow.
It's not going to stop. They have no other choice to confront all of these problems between a pandemic, a lackluster economy, stimulus checks, everything else. The only answer is to print money, debt. So what's an answer to protect yourself from that? Your nest egg, what you're leaving behind. And we believe an important part of that, a significant part of that pot, should be in physical gold.
We're talking with Ken Russo from the Midas Gold Group. Ken, inflation, we're talking about that today. And we're talking about how our money is going to be worth less. We are also looking at the stock market, and it has really significantly slowed in its growth, and there's a lot of concern about the stock market and whether it's going to be able to hold value or lose value. And many are saying, watch out. It very well could lose value. We could have some sort of a crash in the stock market itself. In a sense, a crash in the value of money as well. What keeps precious metals like gold, what keeps that from crashing?
Well, you just can't print gold out of thin air. You know, it's you'd be surprised about all of the gold that's ever been pulled out of the ground in history is about $10 trillion worth of gold. They printed more than $10 trillion last year. So basically, they could have bought the whole gold hoard. But we're not financial planners. We're not giving financial advice.
Right.
But right now, what I do notice is that there's a lot of speculation out there. A lot of people are buying cryptocurrency and stocks, not because they know too much about the situation, but they're just afraid of missing out. It's the hip thing to do. That's dangerous. What I do know that a lot of money's been printed, which means a lot of risk. That's very dangerous.
Wow.
The paper markets right now are very dangerous. Gold has had a long track record of doing very well in dangerous crisis times. And we believe over the next 5 or 10 years, we're not, forecasters, we don't have a crystal ball, but we believe there will be a major financial crisis in the next 5 or 10 years. We believe that the markets are overvalued and you need something to preserve your wealth. That's where gold comes in.
Most people are novices when it comes to precious metals. Most people know very little about buying precious metals. Therefore, they don't buy precious metals. When we don't know something, we don't do it. And yes, you've got a few very savvy buyers of precious metals, but it's a very small percentage of the population. And yet, what we're talking about is something that should be of interest to a very large percentage of the population. And a good percentage of the population should be getting some of their investments safeguarded with precious metals. For the person who knows nothing about it, but they're hearing us and they're saying, wow, I really am concerned about my economic stability, my personal economic strength. When they call you, how do you work with them when they know nothing to begin with?
Well, it's a 15, 30-minute conversation or in-person meeting. We'd encourage you to call in or come to one of our local offices. Politicians care about getting reelected. Bankers bank. Financial advisors give advice on what they could make money on. None of these people really have an incentive to talk about physical gold, but that doesn't mean that it's not right. We would encourage people out there that knowledge is power. We would encourage them to understand what gold and what role it has taken over the last 3,000 years and over the last 50 years. And we would urge them to think about, consider diversification and wealth preservation through gold.
And that brings us to the end of our time together here on The Gold Standard, brought to you by the Midas Gold Group. A reminder, advice given here is not intended to be specific to your investment strategy, but rather general information to give you a better understanding of investing in precious metals. For answers to your questions, call the Midas Gold Group at 855-322-GOLD, 855-322-GOLD, or log on to MidasGoldGroup.com. Again, that's MidasGoldGroup.com. But be sure to call 855-322-GOLD. The Midas Gold Group is proud to be America's #1 veteran-owned gold dealer, supporting veterans' causes with a portion of profits donated to the Wounded Warriors Project and the Semper Fi Fund. So your investment in your future is also an investment in the future of those who have bravely served the cause of freedom. Again, the number to call to speak directly with the Midas Gold Group is 855-322-GOLD. If you want to do it by the numbers, 855-322-4653. I'm Dave Deno with Ken Russo. Join us again next week at this same time for another edition of The Gold Standard.
The Gold Standard was brought to you by the Midas Gold Group.